What are some of the best open world PS5 games to play and look forward to in 2025? Well, let's find out. Hello everyone, it's Aidan from Push Square here, and losing yourself in an immersive open world is one of the best things that you can do in gaming. So today I'm breaking down the most exciting open world games on PS5 specific to 2025, including some that have already been released this year and those yet to come. So let's dive into it. Let's start off with some zombie mayhem with Dying Light: The Beast. This is a spin-off to the mainline Dying Light series, which sees the return of the first game's protagonist, Kyle Crane. This isn't quite as expansive as the first two, with Techland going for a more focused and curated open world, but I'm all there for it. I know people have some issues with Dying Light 2's Villador, but I thought it had some really gorgeous designs, and from the small snippets that we're seeing here of the new setting of Castor Woods, a popular outdoorsy tourist destination now overrun by zombies, it looks like Techland could be cooking. Dying Light: The Beast will also be fully explorable with 3 other players, which could be a lot of fun. Okay, on to the undeniably wackiest of the bunch with Like a Dragon Pirate Yakuza in Hawaii. This sees Goro Majima wash up on a beach with a touch of amnesia, which naturally leads him on a swashbuckling adventure, as you do. This game is sort of a split between the returning, explorable Honolulu from Infinite Wealth and the open seas where you'll engage in naval combat and treasure-gathering island land battles. It's not the traditional open world sense of things, but there is plenty to explore. This is more of a spin-off side game from the mainline series, and therefore it's a bit more manageable time-wise, coming anywhere between 20 and 40 hours. The naval combat looks daft in the best kinds of ways, as does the actual ground combat as you summon animal spirits or something to take down masses of enemies in real-time action. If you're a fan of the Yakuza Like a Dragon series, then this is the sort of let-loose fun entry in the franchise. Atomfall is next up, a new adventure from the folks at Rebellion. That's the team behind the Sniper Elite and Zombie Army games, and it's blending Fallout with some British wit, and it's going a bit more hands-off with a non-traditional quest log system. Exploring this alternative history version of 1960s Lake District in northern England, you must speak to locals, find hidden bunkers, read secret notes, all to unravel the mystery of the Windfall disaster that has left you trapped in a quarantine zone. Having played the opening hours, it's really cool how non-linear this game can be, where you can find out who the killer is before you've even found the body. It's letting your curiosity drive the story, so it's up to you whether you care to nosy about the locals or just mainline the central mystery. It's broken off into several open zones, and it's really down to you to piece everything together. I'm crossing my fingers and toes that we managed to get Dune Awakening sometime in 2025. This survival MMO set on the sandy plains of Arrakis is heading to PC in May, and we don't yet know the console release date, but boy am I excited. This is from Funcom, the team behind Conan Exiles, and it's going all in this alternate universe take on the Dune universe, where the conquering Paul Atreides was never born. In this, you're going to have to endure the harsh conditions of Arrakis whilst leveling up your character, building up bases, and surviving the bone-grinding sandworms. I have some worries in terms of gameplay and obviously console optimization, but the premise of an MMO set in this world of Dune already gives it a really cool foundation for a big, explorable world. Crimson Desert is one of the best looking games of the year from what we've seen in the trailers. It's set in the expansive lands of Pywell, where of course there's a ravaging conflict spoiling the lands in so many ways. It's a fantasy RPG, so you've got all of the flashy combat moves, and you'll be fighting enormous creatures too. It seems like it has a really interesting balance between normal human enemies and sort of grounded settings, and then there'll just be like a dragon or some Yeti-like creature. It's currently just scheduled in for late 2025, so who's to say if this one doesn't get punted into the next year, but I'm very keen to see how this one performs on PS5 and PS5 Pro, and also how alive and real the setting feels. It looks impressively expansive, but what is it filled with? At least developer Pearl Abyss seems to be confident, as it's been releasing big old chunks of gameplay. Monster Hunter Wilds is the latest in this popular series that takes us all to the Forbidden Lands, a seemingly desolate corner of the world, of course densely packed with all sorts of devilish beasties. You'll never be short of things to swing your weapons at in this game, which prides itself in its monster designs and unique animation sets for each. Its world may seem a bit bland to start, but it really opens up as these sort of seasons are introduced, and it goes from a dusty sandpit to a lush new environment. Also, a great boon for this one is that you can play the whole thing with 3 other mates. There's a story campaign to bite through too, that should take you roughly 30 hours, but once it's out of the way, you start to get into the good stuff, with tougher hunts that require coordination, the right kinds of equipment, reflexes, and actually some knowledge about the monsters you are fighting. Borderlands 4 is launching in September this year, inviting players to explore a new world with the same old affinity for loot. The gameplay and the grindy loop is primarily what you're here for, and you can do it all with friends. But Borderlands has that iconic cel-shaded design and some great sci-fi aesthetics in its world. This is actually the first time in the series' history that it's pivoted away from Pandora, which for long-term fans is reason enough to be excited for Borderlands 4. It's a brand new setting. It gives the game the opportunity to try out some new stuff visually with its world design. While there are of course more vaults and treasures to uncover, you've also got a ton of lore to dig into with manic cults and robotic legions. Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 is a hardcore open world RPG where you play as Henry of Skalitz, who must rise from rags to riches once more. It's a brutal world to live in where you'll need to worry about everything from roaming bandits, where you're going to sleep that night, or even how clean or dirty you are as you interact with the village folk. It's certainly not a game for everyone, especially since it's a purely realistic sort of medieval world which revels in the mundane details, like when you make a potion, you actually need to look at the instruction manual to pull it off. But it means when you figure out that you can sleep in a dead man's house, or you finally manage to get yourself a horse, it's incredibly rewarding. It's such a unique sort of open world in that way. The setting that AC fans have been waiting for, Assassin's Creed Shadows, finally went to feudal Japan, and what's even better is that it did so in what is arguably the best AC game in years. It's definitely the best of the RPG games. This is just a far more immersive open world than what we've found before, with dynamic weather, changing seasons, and impeccable graphical details. With dual protagonists Naoe and Yasuke, the whole go in stealthy or guns blazing Ubisoft trope has truly gamified itself with these vastly different protagonists. Yasuke is a brute and it's a lot of fun just kicking enemies about, but the star of the show for me is easily Naoe, who is weaker but then leans into the really fun stealth mechanics with impeccable animations in her traversal. It's a big old game that you could easily sink 100 hours into, and what an immersive world to do so in. Hell Is Us is one of my most anticipated games of 2025, and I made a whole video about why, which you can check out. But cutting to the chase, this is a semi-open world that doesn't want to point you directly to where you're supposed to go. There are no map markers or traditional questlog systems. This is a game that wants you to really immerse yourself in its environment and pay attention to what NPCs actually have to say. It's sort of like taking the stabilizers off and asking you to be a detective-like explorer to find people, solve puzzles, and uncover the mysteries of its setting, Hedea. I doubt this will be for everyone, but I like games that try to do something new and exciting with a genre like open world, and Hell Is Us is that for me. It's sort of similar to Atomfall as well, but I think this one is leaning a bit further into the hands-off approach. The Outer Worlds 2 is this year's fix of comical Fallout goodness, outside of Atomfall of course, where Obsidian is hoping to improve its whimsical original with a brand new galaxy and a brand new set of companions. Other than the graphical glow up by the looks of the gameplay that we've seen so far, these are open worlds that are all about the people that inhabit them. Obsidian loves to create interesting, lovable, and despicable characters, which in turn make exploring its violent, satirical sci-fi world all the more entertaining. The company has already released a fantasy open world on Xbox and PC with Avowed, but we're getting a dealing of sci-fi on PS5 too. Let's get into the real big hitters, starting out with Light No Fire, the highly anticipated follow-up to No Man's Sky. This is a fantasy game that is taking the concept of an open universe from its sci-fi predecessor and applying it to a single explorable planet. That means players and their friends and everyone else will be exploring this one big inhabitable world, which some people might think is a downgrade, but I absolutely adore this idea. With No Man's Sky being a Goliath these days, I'm hoping Hello Games takes everything that it's done with that game and applies it to Light No Fire to create an expansive and far more curated open world design. Although it has to be said, they are still using procedural generation here. The idea of being able to cross continents with my friends in a cool fantasy setting is unique in a way that only Hello Games could do for its follow-up game. If Death Stranding 2 on the Beach follows the first game, it will be more of an open zoned game than a fully connected open world, but this is easily shaping up to be the most gorgeous, explorable world on PS5. We're switching out the USA for Mexico in this entry, and Kojima Productions seems to have really dialed up the variety in its environmental design. Where before we got a lot of volcanic, Icelandic environments in the first game, here we're getting deserts, jungles, and mountainous regions. Death Stranding isn't your typical open world experience, of course, as it's more about getting from one point to the other than exploring and discovering stuff, but that entertainment and emergent gameplay is really down to the actual environments themselves. Like, how do I get across this river? How do I climb this mountain? You have to plan your routes, pack the right equipment, and then by the looks of things, deal with environmental hazards like flash floods, fires, and landslides. I can't wait to see this one when it drops later this year in June. Jumping ahead a few hundred years and switching out Tsushima for a new setting, Ghosts of Yotei will undoubtedly be one of the most beautifully gorgeous open worlds of 2025. This series is now known for its stunning visual design with vibrant colours and sweeping landscapes, not quite going down the graphical pinpoint accuracy of a game like Death Stranding. The first game really was a vibe, especially in the way it changed up the look of its map as you ventured further north. Things getting a little bit more snowy, the colour of the trees vastly changing things up. One thing the last game struggled with though is some of its side content, which could get a bit repetitive. And that's where Sucker Punch is hoping to improve things with Yotei. It's said that it spent a lot of time trying to improve the quality and variety of its discoverable side content, and I think if it manages to raise the content bar whilst maintaining that eye-catching design, it could actually be better than Ghost of Tsushima. The new setting and time period excites me too, because it means that the map can be so vastly different in terms of the towns and villages, and with the power of the PS5, even more expansive vistas. You know it had to be here. Grand Theft Auto 6 is shaping up to be the granddaddy of all open world games this year and beyond. Rockstar really just doesn't miss with its mainline releases. Red Dead Redemption 2 to this day is still one of the best open world games available, and the expectation is so freaking high for GTA 6, with the setting of Leonida taking on a Florida, Miami look. This reveal trailer that we've been obsessing over for the last year and a bit is stuffed full of details with a far more packed and densely populated city. The real sauce of this open world though, as has been the case with Rockstar's last couple of games, are all the delectable little secrets that will inevitably be sprinkled throughout. These are the kind of things that really encourage you to go off the beaten path, to uncover new mysteries, funny little NPC interactions, and new immersive details. So those are some of the most exciting open world games that you can play this year on PS5. Let me know which of these you're most looking forward to, or have you already started playing them? Let me know down in the comments below, and while you're there, remember to like the video and subscribe to the channel for more PlayStation video content just like this. Anyway, thank you as always for watching, and until next time, I've been Aaron, and this has been Push Square.